results of people putting money into a 401k or an IRA year after year after year. What's the results when they get to age 65? Well, it's really sad what the results are in the United States. By age 65, if you look at the stats, 54% of the people at age 65 are dependent on somebody else keeping them, maintaining, their household and so forth. So that means like the mother has to rely on their kids to take care of them at age 65. So 54% of the people are in that category at age 65. And these are people that have worked for retirement, retirement plans have been out there. 36% are still having to work at age 65. Those are the greeters at Walmart or someone at McDonald's that's still working behind the counter at over age 65. And then financially independent, that doesn't mean wealthy, that just means they don't have to work and nobody has to take care of them. I put my mother in that category. She worked hard and never had a big paying job, didn't have a college education, but worked her butt off year after year after year. And finally, she just can get by now without anybody helping her out, which is great. It's a great blessing, but she really had to work hard. That's only 4% of the people. And only 1% wealthy. That shouldn't be a surprise, and that's somebody that can pretty much do what they want, when they want, how they want, right? Well, let's look at that 1%. How did they get there? Let's follow that map, and that's what I wanted to do, is look at what did the wealthy do. Well, 74% of the wealthy are business owners and or real estate investors, which is amazing numbers. 74% are real estate investors and or business owners. And even the business owners, normally they own the business that they're running, a brick and mortar building often. Look at 10% are doctors and attorneys, and what we think is high-paid people, that's only 10% of the wealthy. CEOs and presidents of companies is only 10%. And then this down here, I want to address this, the 1% lottery/inheritance. Believe me, not much of that is lottery. That's probably a 0.0000001. So if you don't have wealthy parents, don't bank on this one right here, okay? That's basically what they're saying. If you have wealthy parents, hey, you might be wealthy when you retire. Okay? So why do I think it's the best vehicle? And I really do. I believe that real estate is the best vehicle for the average person to become financially independent or wealthy. For the average person. You might be here and you're going to invent the next Google. God bless you, that's great. But you're probably not the average person then. The average person, this is an avenue that they can take and take steps and strategies to do that. So what makes real estate what I call the ideal investment? It's an acronym for income. Everybody knows like this is going to produce income. We didn't go over the numbers, so maybe it's a nice time to go over the numbers. So anybody know what we bought this for? Some people did some research online, so you might know. What's that?
Was it 70?
Yeah, it was 70. Good for you guys doing some homework. Or did I put that in the email? I didn't put that in the good for you guys. I'm impressed. All right, so we bought it for 70. Anybody want to, you've seen now what we've done. Anybody want to guess what the rehab is?
That's what I know.
How much is it listed?
Is that
About 80.
30, 80?
No.
How much is it listed?
What'd you say?
40, 45?
40, 45?
No, I would say over 50.
How much is it listed for right now?
I don't want to give
We
too
don't
much
want to
away.
say that, because then you're going to...
Yeah, just tell me, just based on the work. This is
Away.
good at, based on the work. If you had to pay somebody to do everything that we did here, what do you think it cost?
70,000.
About 70.
60 to 70,000.
Okay. I thought we got a really good deal, and I really like this contractor. It cost us, and we're going to add some extras to it, but when he was done in the original contract, it was $82,500.
Yes.
Okay. Now we are going to put a little extra into it because again, they made a full price offer minus $2,000. We had it listed. We listed it for. I really thought if we sold it for anything over $210, I'd be happy. And so after doing one of these sessions, and everybody saying, "Wow, oh man, you're going to get a lot for. You're going to get." So I was going to list it for $229 for the start. That's what I had in my mind. I'm going to list it for $229. And then after I did the first property tour, this is the only second time we've done this year. The first property tour, when it just got done, people say, "Oh no, I think you're going to get more." I said, "You know what? You can always go down. You can't go back up." So I go, "We'll list it for $239." 7 days later, we got an offer for $237, which I never would have gotten, obviously, if I would have listed it for $239. So because they made practically a full price offer, and because we had a big spread there, I agreed to basically do everything they asked us. Put a fence up, fine, we'll put a fence up. Replace the bricks on the chimney, fine, we'll replace the bricks on the ceiling. So there's just, some little stuff that we're going to do for them. So if you run the numbers, now most people, if you did that in your head, you'd say, and you gotta be careful, like the gurus, you guys know what the gurus are when I say, like, Fan Merrill comes to town, Wealth Builders, Rich Dad comes to town, you know, or late night TV, you're gonna make all this money in real estate. Well, here's what the numbers they would give you, and this would be half truth. Okay, so we bought the property at 70,000, we put 82, let's make the math easy, we put 85 into it, 70 and 85, that's 155, right? So we got 155 into it, and we sold it for 230, or 237, I said. So what's the difference? Let's see, we got 45 plus
Close to
another
80 grand.
one. Yeah, we got 45 plus, close to 80 grand,
84.5.
right? Okay, 84.5, and you too could make 84.5 if you follow my instructions, right? Well, what they're not telling you is, did you have it listed with a realtor and you had to pay 5%? Boom. All right, did you, how long did you hold it? All right, oh, you had it for 6 months, that's 6 months of taxes, that's 6 months of insurance, that's 6 months of utilities. That's that, right. But I'm happy to say and feel very blessed to say that we'll probably make over 65,000 on the deal. So it's still going to be great. But again, it's not that 85 number, oh, you can do it. You've got to make sure you understand holding costs. It's very important. And if you're doing it in the suburbs, that taxes can be a killer. Like the one we're doing at Evergreen Park, I think the taxes are like 8,000. So if you hold on to it for, 6 months in the flip, you got to add 4,000 into your number. So we teach people how to add all that in to make sure whether or not it's a deal, they're analyzing it and really knowing what they're going to walk away with, right? So income, obviously if you have rental property, positive cash flow, people understand income pretty well. Deductions is kind of a missing thing, and that's what really got me thinking about real estate again too, because I was in a pretty high paying job, but I was paying, one year I paid $90,000 in taxes. $90,000 in taxes. It just killed me. It killed me. And I was like, I don't use public resources more than anybody else. I mean, people are, oh, the rich, they can afford it. It's like, I was, working hard and, yeah, I had a good year, but then 90,000 in taxes. No more, okay? I was a W-2 employee. W-2 employees pay the highest percent of their income into taxes without a doubt. You can make that blanket statement. Business owners pay much, much less. You know that as a W-2 employee, the most that you can qualify for tax benefits and deductions is 17. 17 deductions, legal tax deductions, you may be eligible for. May. As a business owner and real estate investor, do you have any idea how many tax deductions you may be eligible for?
A lot.
Over 400. Okay? Cell phones, your office, your home office, your meals. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So obviously, if you're going to be wealthy or accumulate wealth, you've got to get your taxes under control. And the way to do it, real estate investor and business owner, and we teach both strategies. Equity buildup. So equity buildup would be, let's say I was renting this place instead of flipping it, and I bought it and I put a mortgage on it, and my renters were paying my mortgage down. So even if it didn't appreciate in value, I'm still building equity in this property because my renters are paying my mortgage down. Do you have mortgages on your rental property? Okay. But you're building, even if you are break even at the end of the month, you're actually making money because you're buying down that mortgage. Your renter is paying down that mortgage. So equity buildup is important. The other thing is appreciation. Now, I do different things. I don't buy rental property, and I teach the classes that I facilitate, that I don't do it based on appreciation. That's a guess. That's like going to Las Vegas and gambling, right? I'm not a gambler, I'm not a risk taker. So I do it all based on cash flow. So I analyze property based on cash flow. It doesn't matter to me if the property value goes up or down. I'm hanging on to it, and it's that monthly cash flow is what I'm basing the purchase on. So that's important, but appreciation is like a bonus. It's like icing on the cake. If I already know it's a good deal, whether it goes up or down, and if it does go up, that's just a great blessing that you didn't plan on it. But when you combine appreciation with leverage, it's really, really powerful. Let me give you a good example. This is what really got me really turned back on to real estate. I was listening to a CD on the train that somebody got because they knew I had an interest in real estate, and them talking about this. So any 25-year period, most people would agree, the data shows that appreciation in most areas goes up about 5% a year over any 25-year span. Obviously, if you're looking at what happened in 2008, 2009, you saw this. But if you took a 25-year span, it usually goes up on the average of 5%. It's pretty well accepted. So if your appreciation is 5%, somebody would say, well, that's not that good. I can do better than that in the stock market or in other avenues that you can do. That's true, that could be true, but look at real estate when you leverage, when you combine appreciation with leverage. So let's say, first of all, you can leverage real estate that you can't leverage other investments. I'll give you this example. Let's say I have a good job, good income, and good credit. I walk into my banker, hi banker, listen, I got this great idea. I'm going to buy $100,000 of XYZ stock. But what I want to do is, I only want to put $20,000 in of my own money. I want to borrow $80,000 and buy this stock. Are you in? Can I get this loan? They'll be like, no, what are you talking about? Well, but I'll own the stock. That'll be, that'll be kind of like collateral for you. No, they wouldn't do that, right? But turn it around now. What if I found a good property worth $100,000 and I have, remember, good income, good credit, good job. I go in to the banker and say, listen, I'd like to buy this property. It's worth $100,000. I want to put $20,000 in. I want a loan for $80,000. Are you willing to do it? They do it all day long, every day. Okay? So you can leverage real estate versus other types of investments. Okay? Now, let's combine appreciation with leverage in that example. Let's say that $100,000 house goes up 5%. How much did it go up in 1 year then? $5,000, right? 5%, that's $5,000. But is it $5,000 on my $100,000? No, because I only put $20,000 in. If you make $5,000 on a $20,000 investment, what percent is that? 25%. So your 5% appreciation combined with leverage gives you a 25% return on your money. That was an eye-opening for me. I'm like, wait a minute, yeah, that's right. That's 25% because I can leverage that. Okay? So anyway, this is what makes real estate powerful, all those different avenues. Okay, I mentioned before there was 4 ways to get started or to work with us if you'd like to get involved with us. One is a private money lender. The 12% is not in stone, it's not a hard number, but it's pretty much what I pay out to my lending partners. So I'll give you an example. On this project, we had enough money to do about 2.5 projects, but we didn't want, or 1.5 projects. So we wanted to be able to do 2 projects at a time. So in that particular LLC, we were about $35,000 short to being able to do that other project that we did, we flipped a few weeks ago, and this project at the same time. So we needed about 35%, or $35,000. So I went to some people that have done business with me before. I told them that we're in need of $35,000, told them that we're going to pay about 12%. Now, they agreed to do it. What is that process? If you're going to borrow money for this real estate deal, what would you have done? What should you do to raise $35,000 to finish this project? What's that process? What do you do? Do I handshake? Listen, 35,000. Your money's well used. Don't worry. You can count on me. Okay? You can count on me. Don't worry about it. Then you never see me again. Okay? So what's involved?
Contract.
What's that contract say? What's it do? You hear that contract's not worth the money it's written on. You heard that expression. So what makes that quote contract worth anything? Okay, so we protect our money lenders just like banks are protected. There's 2 documents that you need. It's not a contract, there's 2 documents. One is a promissory note, just like you do when you borrow money from the bank. You sign a promissory note, which lays out the terms of the loan. The 12%, if you're paying points, when the money's due, all that's laid out in the promissory note, right? The other piece is what?
No.
Well, that's a promissory note, that is the note. What's the other piece to protect them? Well, you do have to have insurance, that is true. What's that called when a lender has a lien against the property? We call it a mortgage. So that's the other document. So it's one thing to say, hey, I promise you I'll pay you 12%. And I'm even going to put that in writing. Hey, I promise you. What if you don't do it? Well, I'll see you in court, maybe, maybe not, you know, maybe I don't have the money, right? But if what you want to do is you lock that promissory note to the house with the mortgage. And so we write up a mortgage, just like a company would. I have a form, I write up the mortgage, which basically states that this person's going to be a first position lien holder, one and only lien holder on the property. And if I default on that note, he gets the property. All right, I'm sure that guy didn't want to, you know, have any bad will, you know, on us. But think about it. He had $35,000. He was the one and only lien holder. If we don't pay him or didn't pay him, he'd get this whole property for $35,000. All right, so that's how well he was protected. You know, he's like, oh, I hope you do default on my note. That would be great. Yeah. So anyway, I just called him today actually, and I sent him the.
I got a question.
Yeah.
All right, so the 35,000, but that doesn't cover all the expense.
Right. Our
Right.
LLC already had our money to do everything. We were
Short.
just 35,000 short.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we had enough to do 1.5 projects, but we wanted to do 2. So on the one project, we put a $40,000 private money loan on, and then this one, we put a $35,000. Together on those 2 projects, we raised $75,000 in order for us. So that's what we do within those LLCs. So the LLC owns the property, they're not a lien holder, we're the owners, right? That allows us to bring private money in first position and protect them by the property, okay? So, yeah.
So say the private lender give you $80,000, get a house before you rehab is 35, closing on 5. You can't flip it. He just gets the house, right? Like you step out of it, right?
Well, here's the deal. The note will have to tell you exactly what happens. First of all, we usually do it with a term. We usually do a 6-month with an extension option at the person that's lending the money. We have the option to extend it at a higher interest rate normally, or we'll pay them an extension fee, and we usually go as much as 12 months. And if for some reason we couldn't flip it after 12 months, we're probably going to turn it into a rental. We're going to refinance it, cash him out. Okay, but all that needs to be specified in the deed. What happens after 6 months? Okay, extends it for a year or extend it for 6 months. Okay, then what happens after that? Okay, because what would happen is if we didn't do anything with this money, they could foreclose on us. They could start a foreclosure process. And if we didn't pay them, if we go to court, yeah, they'd get the whole house.
What's my loss as an investor? Just I didn't do finance or something?
Well, it depends. If you have money in the LLC, then you're out that money, whatever it took you to do that project. Yeah, if you're a service provider and you don't have any money in the project, yeah, other than the fact that you're probably not going to be able to borrow any more money from anybody if you didn't, you know, if you defaulted. The real estate investing world is smaller than what you think. A lot of people, and that's one of the reasons why we're a part of this group, because we meet. We're there every Thursday. So we basically do deals with people that we see every single week. There's a lot of accountability there, right? Because if you don't treat somebody right or did something unprofessional or whatever, you know, you come back the next Thursday like, hey, don't listen to Randy. You know, somebody in the crowd, you know, hey, he's up there listening. Hey, you listen what he did to me. Whatever. So there's a lot of accountability, and that's why most of the things that we do is within our group, within our organization. There's definitely accountability. What's that?
I didn't mean that negative.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, not at
Good
all.
question.
Like, that
Not
was a
at
good
all.
question.
Not at all. Yep, not at all. Yep. And you got to know in those notes, if you're ever lending, you really got to be protected. Okay, it's always got to be secured by a property worth a lot more than what you have in the game. So if you have to foreclose and it takes you $10,000 to foreclose on that person that you lent the money to, you're going to come further ahead because that property is going to have a lot more equity than $10,000. Yeah. Go ahead.
How did you find this particular house? Wholesaler, MLS, bird dog?
This was, yeah, we use all those things, but this one was on the MLS. It's kind of a combination of both. It was on the MLS, but it's somebody that's in our group that's being trained by us, and he knew exactly what we were looking for. So he's kind of a wholesaler / broker. And the agreement that I have with him is if he brings me, like sometimes I'll use him to make an offer on a property that I found, and then I'll use you as the buyer's broker, and you'll make that commission. But when I resell it, I usually do a fee listing for $375, put it on the MLS, and then the broker of the buyer will get 2.5%, and I'll save 2.5%. But in this case, the agreement was, okay, you bring me a property, just like a wholesaler would do. You bring me a property, I'm not gonna pay you a wholesaler fee, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna buy it through you and I'm gonna sell it through you. So he made 2.5% when we bought it, and now he's gonna make 2.5% when we sell it, 2.5% on over 200,000. So altogether in his deal, he's probably made about 10 grand, something like that, you know. So it was a pretty good deal for him. So I have that relationship with some of the brokers, and I want to treat them fair. So that's my arrangement. Now, if I just find a listing and I call them up and say, hey, I want you to show me this house, I'm not obligated to list it with them. I won't do it. I'll do a flat fee listing and make the money for my equity partners. Okay. Okay, let's keep moving on, and then, these are great questions, by the way, but I know some
Very good
people might get
questions.
tired, but I'll stick around and answer your questions. So equity partner model, we talked about that. Somebody just saw actually the videotape of one of these presentations, called me up, I talked to him today, he's interested in being an equity between him and his father, thinks he's got about 150,000, that he wants to perhaps be an equity partner with me. And that's probably enough if we take on some lending money, because usually our projects are around 200,000 or so, all in, but that's a very distinct possibility, and then you get 50% of the profits. The other thing is, if you want to learn by us, if you want, we'll tell you about how you can find it, go through exactly the training I did. Remember, I was a teacher and coach, and I wasn't born a real estate investor, didn't pop out at my mom, hey, I'm a real estate investor, right? So I had to learn all this stuff, and this is the same program that I've gone through, and like I say, every instructor had to remain at least $1 million in the area that they're teaching, and they have to be current real estate investors. So I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like if you're interested in getting trained by us. And the other thing is, just want to participate in these property tours. I thank you for connecting with me on Meetup, and every time we have one, probably be every couple of weeks, you can just come in and see the new properties. I try to change this up a little bit, but right now it's pretty much kind of the same things. But you can stay for the property part and then go on if you're not interested in anything else. But I think you'll learn something because different questions come up in every one of these meetings. So that's the other way. Just participate in the property tours. No, no obligation. Just come when you can come. Again, that was that equity partnership model. This is the private lending. I just went into a little bit more detail what that looks like. The guaranteed interest rate. Think about it. If you knew how to become a real estate investor and you could pay someone 12% for your money and you could still make money and you could pay somebody 12%, isn't that a lot better than what they're getting in the stock market right now? The difference is that's guaranteed 12%. Yeah, you could say, well, I'm making 12% right now in the stock market. Well, bless you. Is that guaranteed for next month and next month and next year and 6 months? So you could be a great blessing to somebody. The other thing we do is we train people on how to do self-directed retirement accounts. Does anybody know what a self-directed retirement account is? Anything about that? Tell us a little bit about it.
Self-directed, you set it up so that you're able to use the funds to invest in real estate, such as you might use equity trust as your custodial IRA.
Yeah.
There's about 6 or 7 of them, I can't
Very
think.
good one, man. That's probably the best explanation. A lot of people say, oh, you can invest with... Okay, now, are there restrictions on what you can invest?
Yes, there is. You can't invest in insurance and artwork.
Okay, collectibles, not just artwork, collectibles. Yep, very good, very good. Okay, and there's also what's called restricted parties. So not only is there restricted transactions of what you can do, but there's also restricted parties. You want to go for a home run and tell me who's a restricted party?
Is it the mother, father, I want to say brothers and sisters, it's a lineage.
It's lineage, but it's not brothers and sisters. You actually can, that's not a prohibited party, your brother or sister. I guess the IRS figures you'd screw over your brother or sister just like you would anybody else, I guess. But, okay, so what that means by prohibited parties is that, let's say I have a retirement account. Well, we'll use an example. Michelle's husband, Scott, has a retirement account in that LLC that we created, right? That LLC could not buy a house for her daughter to live in. Even if she was paying rent, they couldn't do that. They can't even buy her daughter's house to flip. That's a prohibited transaction. They could be in big trouble, penalty, all that money that would be taxed, automatically penalized and taxed, okay? So you have to know what you can do and what you can't do. But when you learn the rules of the game, think about the people that you could help. People that are getting maybe up and down 5-6% of their retirement account. What if you had a way that you could help those people get 12% guaranteed? It's guaranteed and insured if the house burned down. That's where the insurance, somebody mentioned about insurance protecting them. Yeah, they're additional insured on the insurance policy as well. So that's what's the beauty of being a real estate investor and understanding how to do it, because you can help a lot of people. Not only can you have unlimited funds for yourself to do real estate, you can help an almost unlimited amount of people earning a guaranteed interest rate, whether that's 12% or whatever. I've paid people as much as 24%, by the way, on real estate deals. Okay? So if you want to learn more about this, let me know. Okay, and the other part, if you want to be trained by us, I just want to let you know that, has anybody gone to one of the like guru workshops? Okay, there was just one the other day.
There is one today and tomorrow.
Is there?
Fortune Builders,
Tomorrow's in Naperville.
Dan Merrill,
Mhm.
Fortune Builders. Yeah.
I won't go.
Yeah, and sometimes I sign up for them just because I want to see what they're saying,
I did.
and also find out, you know, what their price points are. Now they won't tell you, you know, you go to one, and all they're trying to do is get you to the one 3-day boot camp, they call them. Used to be you always had to fly to the boot camps. Now Chicago's a big enough market, they usually come back for the boot camp. But they just want a few $100s. It's worth thousands of dollars. If you go to the back of the room right now and you're the first 100 people, we'll get you in for $300 for this 3-day boot camp. And you're going to learn all real estate, blah, blah, blah. So you go to the 3-day boot camp, and what you find is that it's 3 days of selling you onto the next program. Well, this is great, but what you really want to do is this, this, and this. And so all in, people have found out. We've had people come to our group practically in tears telling us, oh my gosh, I wish I found out about you guys, because I just spent $70,000 on this other training program, and it's only 11 boot camps. It's only 11 boot camps. They find out our program is for life. They just like, wait a minute, 11 versus for life, that's a big difference. Okay, so we do want to expose people, and I'm not saying this is bad. Hey, listen, if you can learn how to do real estate for the rest of your life and it costs you 70 grand, that's like 1 or 2 deals, okay? So I'm not downplaying that. People say, well, why is real estate investing so expensive? Well, because it can be. Think about the upside to that. It's just amazing. If you had a skill and knew a strategy to make somebody $1 million over the course of their lifetime, how much would you charge? I might charge $70,000, I might charge $100,000, right? So that's why they can do it, because the upside is just incredible. And not everybody follows through with it, obviously. But that's why they can charge, and this is old, I mean, it's over $70,000
And
for
plus
sure.
none of them are here, they all go back home.
Yeah, that's the
We
other
are
thing. is
community
local.
right here.
Yeah. So in our particular training that we have, it's not just fix and flip, that's just one track. So there's like 6 or 8 classes under this one. There are 8-hour classes that you can watch online. There's lease option, which is the buy and hold. I'm doing a study group in this every other Wednesday in the South Loop Hotel on this. I do every Thursday, I help a study group in Downers Grove where we do and go over fix and flip. And then there's short sales. There's multi-family units. In fact, the guys from the Chicago, greater Chicago, Indiana area, that's our instructor there, John Dessauer, he's written a couple books. He's younger than I am, I know that. And at one point, he had 1,000 units. 1,000. Imagine getting 1,000 checks, rent checks every single month. Okay. So anyway, he's our instructor of how to, you know, if you're looking to expand a big, large portfolio. Tax liens, deeds, there's a lot more to that. Again, you don't get caught up in this hype where, oh, you can make all this money in tax liens and deeds and it's so simple or whatever. That's a complicated strategy, especially in a state like Illinois, where they have a 2-year redemption period if you're doing it on residential. But we have a little angle that we take here. If you do it on commercial property, it's only a 6-month redemption period. And we've had some people in our group make a lot of money. I mean, serious, big money doing this one strategy. She bought, is it 36?
36.
She got liens on 36 properties for $33,000, $32,000.
Right around there.
And a couple of them redeemed, which she got her money back plus interest, but she flipped a couple without doing anything to it.
Nothing.
And she's made over $100,000, and she still owns the deeds to like 30 properties. I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's basically her full-time, all she's doing is just going through her portfolio. She bought it a couple years ago, and now she's just, you know, rehabbing those one by one or selling them off one by one. It's huge potential. And the one she's keeping is going to be in her rental portfolio, so she plans on keeping enough for like $100,000 or $10,000 a month or more.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's possible. It's there. You got to be patient. I don't really have the patience for it right now. Maybe someday I'll do that or have somebody in my group do it for us. And then also commercial real estate. And we're adding things all the time. But what's nice is in the package that Michelle has, I have, is we're lifetime. So every time they add something that's new, we just get it for free basically. So here's what our packages look like instead of the 70,000 plus. So we have a basic that really is all the fundamentals. This is also unlimited for under $2,000. So that is if you want to come to Downers Grove, that's every single Thursday for the rest of your life. You can go and plug into that group. The essentials is basically acquiring properties and getting your businesses set up. Should it be an S-corp? Should it be an LLC? And a lot of it taxes is you want to know, is it short-term income or is it long-term income? The other thing that you learn in here, which is worth the price, you will save this much, especially if you're a little bit younger and your kids are a little bit younger. It's amazing. Mark Kohler shows you how you can legally, ethically write off $6,300 for your kids. Every kid that you have, $6,300, is what you can make before they have to file a tax return. Well, he doesn't. I've done the strategy myself. So I don't pay my son money when he was in high school, money he needed to go to the movies or for food or whatever. No, he does some work and my business pays him. That becomes a tax deduction for me. So his movies is a tax deduction for me. His clothes is a tax deduction for me. His tuition now is a tax deduction for me. Okay? Because that's a business. You say, well, what can my kid do? What can my kid do? How old is he?
13.
What?
20. You can do 20. 20.
Oh, 13? 13. You know what? You take a picture of him, and he's in this presentation, and he's a model.
Yep.
We're going to pay him $1,000 for tonight. Okay? So you can actually have creative ways. You got younger kids, you can actually do creative ways. Mark Kohler talks about how he has one of, like this little daughter is the paper shredder. So, I need paper shredded in his office, so he'd run it, her job is to shred paper. The other one is, my job is to sweep the office. Stuff that your kid should be doing anyway, but you don't pay them allowance, your business pays them. And then it becomes a tax deductible expense. But there's a certain way you have to do it if your kids are under 18, and he shows you how to do it. So think about it, if you just have one child that you use that strategy for a year, let's say you're at let's make the math easy, let's say you're at a 20% tax bracket, and you're writing off $6,000 of stuff that you got to buy for them anyway, $6,000. When you write off $6,000, that's a 20% savings, real money in your pocket. 20% of $6,000 is $1,200. You will put $1,200 a year in your pocket every single year per child using that strategy. Well, it only takes 2 years and you've already paid for this, right? I haven't done the math on this, but if you have a couple kids, you're at $2,500 a year. By the time, if they're 10 years, you do it for 10 years and you've more than paid the program. Just that one strategy. If you don't do any real estate the rest of your life, just the tax and legal strategies are incredible. So this one means that you can, I'll go backwards. Go back. So that second one means you get to pick 2 of these. So that second category, about 8,000 is a pick 2. A lot of people do the fix and flip and they do the buy and hold. These are probably the 2 most popular strategies. So they can do that. And then what Michelle and I have done and what most people in our group do, even if they can't afford it at first,